Hello everyone and welcome back to JAS Reviews. My name is James and on this channel I do reviews of both music and movies along with the occasional commentary piece, so if any of that sounds interesting to you then please be sure to leave a like on this video and to subscribe to my channel to see more content like that. And today I am bringing you an individual movie review, this time for the film Companion, directed by Hancock and starring Sophie Thatcher and Jack Quaid. So, Companion is about artificial intelligence, essentially. We've got our main character, Iris, played by Sophie Thatcher, who is revealed to be an AI robot, specifically a sex robot that was built just for Jack Quaid's character Josh. She was programmed to meet all of his needs, and however, she believes that she doesn't know rather, that she is not a robot until Jack Quaid's character tells her that is the case. So it comes as a revelation to her, and this happens after she murders someone who was coming on to her a little bit strong at this house party that her and Josh go to. After Josh hacked into her programming to do something else with her to help him with something that he wanted to do, the hacking made her lose her inhibitions that the programming was supposed to protect, and she kills this person, and this starts a series of events where Josh has to basically kill Iris or shut her down. But Iris does not want to be shut down. She wants to live her own life now that she's discovered this incredibly revelatory information about herself, and she wants to escape his grasp while still struggling with the fact that she does love him and that her love feels real, even if it was something that was programmed into her from the start. So let's talk about this movie. Let's talk about what worked as well as what I did not enjoy about it. And I'll go ahead and start with the positives. I do think this was a very fun movie about artificial intelligence. Now, are you going to be getting the most innovative story out of this? No, not by any means. If you've seen an artificial intelligence story, then this one isn't necessarily going to throw any surprises at you. This one reminds me a bit of the likes of Ex Machina, or even video game-wise, a little bit about certain aspects of Detroit Become Human. Even if it is a little bit of a cliched premise in some ways, I do still think it does enough to make it interesting, and enough to make you enjoy it. I think one thing that does work about the movie is it gives it a little bit of a satirical twist, and a little bit of a knowing wink. In fact, it does this combination of humor with the violence in a way that reminds me of modern-day Black Mirror is another apt comparison I can make here. It does succeed in regards to the commentary that it's going for, and I did enjoy the stuff it was talking about, especially when it got closer to the end and started doing a more interesting commentary that I wish the movie had maybe pursued a little bit more in its beginning parts, because in the end, it was clear that the AI with male relationship was becoming a commentary on domestic abuse and how men dehumanize women when they are abusing them. And I think when that sort of symbol or allegory comes forward in the movie, it actually becomes a lot more interesting, and I think it worked a lot better. I wish those threads had popped up a little sooner, because when they do pop up, they're really quite well done. I also think the movie is pretty creative in how it utilizes the different aspects of the AI's programming. For example, being able to play with its intelligence. There's one really good scene between Jack Quaid and Sophie Thatcher's character where Josh is playing with her intelligence as a way to intimidate her, and I think it worked well. And then, of course, the more interesting inevitable twist that some of the other people around her that were in the same house with her also turned out to be AI. I liked that there was more than just one AI character in this movie. That made it more interesting and made the discovery more interesting. I also found the beginning dialogue of this movie to be clever in how it built up the idea that Sophie Thatcher's character was an AI, because they used dialogue that's vague enough that it could just be something you'd say to any human being, like Josh saying, "Iris, go to sleep," or "What's the weather today?" But it is done in such a way to where you start being able to put the pieces together slowly but surely, so that when the reveal happens, it makes sense. And it's sort of cleverly done. I like that the dialogue lets you sort of figure that out as you go along. I also do think the performances were pretty solid in this movie. Nothing necessarily earth-shattering here, but they were good for what they were. I thought Sophie Thatcher was great in here as Iris. I liked her in Heretic. She was definitely a great actress in that, but I think she's actually even better here. She does a great job of believably playing someone who does think that they're human throughout the movie. And when she does get her intelligence lowered, for an example, it's cool to watch her transform into more of an AI-like creation in those parts of the movie. But I did like that it was convincing enough in the movie that she was just viewing herself as a human being and not an AI robot. I thought her performance was pretty subtly done. She could be menacing in points, but she could also be incredibly sympathetic in others. I thought Jack Quaid was excellent as Josh. He proves here that he can play a pretty good antagonist. I think he plays his character despicably well, and he really plays the incel boyfriend stereotype to almost perfection here. I really liked what he did, and he may have been the best part of the movie. The side performances here aren't as remarkable as our two lead performances, but they get the job done. There's not anybody that I passionately dislike. I think Lukas Gage is good here as Patrick. I wish they'd given him a little bit more to do in the movie besides what they turn him into near the end, but it also does make sense for where the movie's going. And Suri and Harvey Guillen are fine in their roles, just not anything necessarily very interesting. And yeah, there's not much else to say about the side performances because they aren't really the main focus of the movie. I do think it's the two leads that really bring this movie over the top and do make it work as well as it does. Now let's get into a couple of critiques for the movie. The first one is, I think the movie could have played a little bit more with its violence. I think it could have gotten a little bit more intense because the way it plays out those action scenes feels a little stock to me. I do like the very first scene, and I think the very first scene where Iris kills someone is really impactful because she is just covered in blood. And I wish we'd seen more scenes with that type of impact in the movie as far as violence goes to make you viscerally feel it, but we really don't throughout the movie. The movie does a thing in the beginning where the main character reveals what she's going to do by the end of the movie. And I've seen this narrative device done before. It can be effective sometimes, and other times it isn't. And in this movie, it just didn't particularly work because it's just like, you know where the plot's gonna go, so there's really no tension. And I would have rather seen there be some tension in terms of what characters were going to get out and what characters weren't, because if you listen to the opening dialogue, you know exactly who's going to survive and at least one person who isn't going to survive. Actually, something that bothered me about this movie actually had nothing to do with the movie at all. It had to do with the second trailer that came out for this movie. I was so bothered that the second trailer for this movie basically revealed what I think would have been a cool twist to discover in the theater. Now, the reason I told you that Iris' AI is because it was advertised everywhere with the second trailer. And I think it makes the movie a lot less of a fun experience than it could have been, because it's clear in the beginning of the movie that they were originally wanting to go with only having the first trailer as promotion because we didn't know much about our characters with the first trailer. This would have been a lot more impactful, I think, if there had not been a reveal in a trailer that she was AI. But like I said, that's more of a problem with the marketing for the movie than it is with the movie itself. So I'm not going to count points against that. It's just something that I've noticed about trailers that have bothered me more and more. I wish this movie had followed the Barbarian code and revealed as little as possible. If there's any other main critique I could give this movie, it's that I wish the movie had explored a little bit more of the dynamic between Iris and Josh, because when this starts popping up in the ending parts of the movie, it's actually really interesting, and it shows how we treat different people as less than through the medium of artificial intelligence. And once again, it provides an interesting allegory for domestic abuse that I thought was actually pretty well done. But a lot of the movie is more focused on this desperation to hide Josh's crimes that he and his friends have committed. I did like that part of the movie, and I do think that it made sense for the movie to focus on that, but I wish there had been a little bit more of additional stuff added in with the relationship between Josh and Iris. And like I did say at the beginning of the review, This isn't necessarily going to throw any surprises at you as far as artificial intelligence movies go. It gives a lot of the same themes that you've seen before of artificial intelligence becoming more sympathetic than the actual human characters who are in the movie, and we want them to rise up against their oppressors. It's obviously meant to be very connecting to us, and the AI is obviously meant to represent something else that isn't artificial intelligence. So I wish the movie had done something maybe a little bit different, but at the same time, familiar stories can still be fun, and I do still think this one did enough fun, even with the fact that the movie was a little bit cliched in some areas. But overall, yeah, I did enjoy this movie. I thought it was a fun time. It wasn't as horror-centric as I was expecting it to be, especially based on the first trailer, but I did like the dark action thriller genre that it went for. I thought the two central performances from Jack Quaid and Sophie Thatcher were great, and it's just simply a really good time. I thought it was a solid watch, and I would recommend it if you haven't seen it yourself. I'm going to give this a solid 3.5 out of 5 stars. So yeah, that ends this review of Companion. What were your thoughts on Companion if you've seen it? Please let me know in the comments down below. And once again, my name is James, and I do reviews of both music and movies, along with the occasional commentary piece, so if any of that sounds interesting to you, then please leave a like on this video, and subscribe to my channel to see more content like that. But until then, I will see you all in the next video.